Hi there, I'm just going to take you through a 10-minute stretch, which is typical of the kind of stretches that I do in my classes that I teach, and is also a bit of an extended stretch because we usually only save 5 minutes at the end for a stretch. It's quite lower body focused, so you might want to focus on the upper body a bit more as well in your own time, but it's definitely quite a nice stretch to do after running or after like a lot of squats or a HIIT workout, or just if you've been sitting down a lot today. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to try and flow through it, but I will inevitably make some mistakes. So we're going to start seated. We're going to start extending our legs out in front. Make sure you've got enough room to roll back down, all the way down to the mat. So we reach our arms forward and we just carefully roll our way down, gathering in our right leg to come down, elbows out to the side, pulling in for a hamstring stretch. So we're going to do our hamstring stretch by reaching our leg up to the ceiling and then flopping it down. So we're extending that hamstring and then quickly contracting it. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to keep the left leg nice and stable. And this last time we're going to hold it here. We're going to flex the heel, get into a calf stretch here. You might well be out here, that's fine. We point our toe, we flex our foot, and we point our toe. We do that 2 more times, flexing and pointing, and flexing and pointing. We're going to flop that knee down once again. We're just going to hook the right arm underneath that right leg and bring our left hand down to the ground. So that's just to stabilize through this left side. We'll pull the knee open. So we're getting an inner thigh stretch now. It's really tempting to just let this left leg go. But in order to stretch effectively, we want to keep something still so we can pull away from it. So in this case, it's our pelvis. We're pulling away from that left side. If you want to, you can add that extension of the leg, but I know that's not available to everybody. So we keep our shoulders open, maybe we just hold it here, or you add that extension of your leg 2 more times. Last time. Good. Well done. We're going to pass the leg across to the left side. So the left hand's coming on top. We're now taking our right hand down by our side. We're pulling over and we're getting a nice twist through our bodies. So we're really keeping that lower bodies in one direction and just trying to push our ribs open in the other direction. Opening through the shoulders, maybe feeling a little bit of a lower back, easing off here. We breathe in. Exhale, draw everything back through the center, and we go on the left side. So we bring the left leg in, interlacing those fingers, elbows out nice and wide to the side, shoulders away from our ears. Those 4 extensions. So we reach up and we flop down. 3 more. Really pulling away with the underneath leg, the right leg. So we get that opposition. Our hips are heavy. Again, your extension might just be to that. And we flop down. That's absolutely fine. Last one. And good. We're going to hold this one. We take it up to the sky. And we flex and point. Flex and point. Flex and point. And flex. Lovely through those calves and Achilles. Dropping down. We hook that left arm underneath. Take the right hand down by our side and open up. So this right side is just as important. Usually with all of our exercise we do, the bit that stays still is kind of doing more of the work than the bit that's moving, just because that's life. When we move around, we want to lay down excellent movement patterns in our bodies so that we remain injury free. So we're going to extend our leg out and flop it down if we want to, we don't have to. Extending the leg, flopping down. If that adds to your inner thigh stretch, please do it. If not, don't worry about it. Extending out. Good. We're going to pass the leg across. Right hand onto the shin, left hand down by our side. We roll it over. We get that nice twist. The foot drops. So I'm not quite as flexible on this side. My knee's a lot further off the floor than it was
on that side. That's absolutely fine. Wonderful if we can be totally equal and we use both sides equally, but I've never come across anybody who does. And just going back to what I was saying about why we want to lay down good movement patterns, not only just to remain injury-free, but if we do sports, if we want to improve on anything, running, cycling, it's really good for our joints to be moving at their best range of movement. So we come back into the centre. Well done. We hug our knees in, and now we're a little bit more free. You can see my pelvis hopefully rocking forwards and backwards, just easing out through the inner thighs. 4 in one direction and 4 in the other. A little bit of hip mobility, but because the pelvis is moving forwards and backwards, it's not only hip mobility. Okay. We hold it here, we bring our feet down. Now we're going to open the knees to the side, soles of the feet come together, our inner thighs stretch. Open that front of the body. So again, we're now just kind of stretching our inner thighs. We might not feel much of a stretch, depends what we've been doing or how we're wired. From here, you're going to fold your right leg over your left. So a little variation on that twist we did, single leg. So as you can see, if I just wait naturally, my knees are really not coming together at all. That's fine, but yours might be, or they might be further apart. This could be enough. Hopefully we're getting a stretch on the right oblique, underneath the right ribs towards the right hips. I quite like to just cross the underneath leg over, and that just adds to that stretch in the oblique. So, like I said, if you've been doing any exercise, if you've been doing one of our classes or any other class or gone for a run or just moved, you're using your obliques, or you should be, and we want them to be stretched out. We want them not to be tensing up. That's going to pull on your lower back, on your pelvis, and could cause problems. So we stretch it out. If this doesn't work, this variation, you don't have to do it. You can just keep those knees together. So we come back through the centre, uncross, and just send the knees over to the other side. So now, probably because of the stretching I've done already now, just in the last couple of minutes, it feels a little bit nicer on this side than when I did that single leg over there just a couple of moments ago. So we're going to take our underneath foot and just bring it over the top, just holding here. Finding that same stretch on this side. Breathing in. Exhaling. Good, just holding it for as long as you want to. Coming back to the centre and holding here. So from here, we're now going to circle our arms up, nod our heads, just stretch our legs out to come back up to the top again. All right, we're going to take the left leg, we're going to cross it over. We're going to wrap around with the right arm and reach back for a twist. The idea is that we're going to lengthen up to the sky. We're not going to try and lean back into our hand. We're going to lift up and rotate round. So we might feel a stretch here too, but we're primarily going for that oblique area. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, come back to the center. Lay our ankle onto the fleshy part of our thigh. We lift up. Exhale, we're going to lean forward with a flat back. So if we round forward, we lose this connection to our hips. We lean forward, we add the body weight, and we get this nice glute stretch here. We breathe in. Exhale, maybe that exhale allows us to move a few millimeters further down. Good. We're going to draw everything in. We're going to lean back, turn our fingers towards the back of the mat, lifting up tall and press that left knee forward for our seated stretch too. We want to lift up and squeeze our shoulder blades together. Breathing in. Exhaling. Slide your leg back down. We're going to swing our leg round to make an L shape. So think L coming this way. We reach the left arm up to the ceiling and we reach forward. We get a hamstring stretch on the front leg. Maybe we get a bit of an opening in our hip, but we're still flexing it at the moment, but you still might feel something there. Same as with our glute stretch. We're lengthening forward. rather than rounding down.
So we're aiming to stretch the hamstrings, reach it forward. We inhale here. Exhale, shoulders drop down. As we release, we're going to bend that front knee. So we come into our shin being parallel with the front line of the mat, and our knee also being on that same line. So we're in this kind of on the walk position, as it's called in dancing. We're going to lean forward, maybe one elbow, maybe two elbows, trying to keep our hips as square as possible. Long necks, shoulders are down, relaxing through your hands, whatever works for you. We breathe in, and we exhale. Holding here. And we open the elbows out to the side. Maybe we get a bit lower. Again, we're keeping this long back. I could round my spine, but actually it's more effective to keep lengthening and then lengthening and lengthening, and maybe then I can add the weight of my head, but rather than doing it back here. So this might be where it ends for you. If you want to try and increase, we could come up onto our hands and stretch our leg behind into this lengthened position on the back of the neck. So you can see I've come up much higher now to try and keep my hips square to the front of the mat. I don't want to be sitting open that way. Again, we might come back down to our elbows if that adds to the stretch. Now, this actually gives me a little bit of knee pain, so I'd rather stay up higher, but you feel free to get down lower, but remembering all of those principles from before, but it's got to increase the stretch in the glute rather than just kind of give you a bit of comfort. We breathe in here. We're going to rotate down and sit onto our bottoms and round to the front of our mats, or the side of our mats, depending what way you're facing. We reach our arm out and come into a side stretch, rotating our ribs, shoulders down, chin away from chest. So we're into this side stretch here. We breathe in and we exhale. Some of you might want to just switch that foot position to go further, but that is absolutely fine to keep the knee down. We breathe in. We exhale, we push the air away, bring that right hand down and swoop up into a side stretch. A nice long stretch on the left side, reaching up and over. Good, breathing in and exhaling. Good, we're going to bring our hands down and come to our hip flexor stretch. So we just turn the toe at the back, we've still got that left leg extended. We're going to push down into the floor and we're going to lift that right leg up to come in between our hands. We're then going to drop the back knee down, untucking the toe. So I haven't got my right foot in line with my left knee, it's out to the side. Then we're going to lift up and you can see we increase this stretch. So my hips are the point that's staying still, my thighs stretching away. Now there's various things we can do here to increase that stretch. One thing is to tuck the pelvis. Now it's probably not visual at all. We want to have this sense of tucking. It's almost a little squeeze of the glute, which really increases the stretch in the hip flexor. Another thing to do is to lift up tall, look straight ahead, and try to get your fingertips to the floor. So you can lean forward a little bit more. But the idea is not to bring our hands down. It's to try and get the fingertips to the floor, hanging straight down from our shoulders. So I'm just gently increasing here. Yes, my knee's moving forward, not right over my toes, but my fingers are still not on the floor. I'm getting a really good stretch here. Breathing in. Exhaling. So I find this is much better, much more effective than coming to here. I hardly feel anything here, but that's sort of traditionally where we think we ought to be. So finding that length, and if what we're aiming to stretch is our hip flexor, then this is a better place, in my opinion. We're going to rock back through a little hamstring stretch. We've done quite a lot of hamstrings. Well done. Good. Rock forward again. Place your hands either side. Tuck your toe underneath. Come to find a downward dog stretch, pressing the heels down, pressing the calves down. Look back to the feet, breathing in. Exhaling. Good, we're going to step the left leg forward now and we're going to reverse all of our stretches, hopefully. So down at the back. We start from that hip flexor stretch on this side. So establishing our connection. Now you don't need to move around, but I'm going to move around so you can see the opening of the legs and you can see it better. You can see what's happening rather than me facing the back. So you don't need to do this, you stay where you are. So we stretch forward, we find that diagonal line once again, either through a tuck of the pelvis or through that intention for your fingertips to find the floor. That's absolutely fine if they don't get anywhere near. You can see mine are miles away. But I'm working really quite hard on this back leg, and that's going to feel really good later, especially if you've been sitting. You can imagine your seated position, your knees are basically right in front of your hips. Hip flexors are compressed. Now they're lengthened. So this is a really good stretch to do. If you can afford to spend some time here, then please do. Okay, lovely. We bring the hands down. We're going to heel toe our foot across the mat, open out to that long pigeon. Now remembering that you don't have to do this pigeon stretch. You could go straight to your bent leg at the back. So remember, if this pigeon was not something you wanted to do, then you don't need to do it. But you could try it on this side. This side could feel different for you. Good. Breathing in. Well done. We haven't done it in exactly the same order, I've just realised, but that's not too big a deal. We can switch it up. We're going to come down and bend that back leg in, finding this on the walk position once again, and maybe dropping our elbows down. So we are definitely leaning over in this stretch. So we're just dropping down here, elbows out to the side. So we're holding it here, breathing in. Exhale, remember that length coming forward if we want to. That's it. Maybe elbows come out to the side. Nodding that head down. Breathing in. And exhaling. Good. Coming up, we're going to extend the back leg and just turn into our side stretch. Reaching over to the right foot now with that left arm, just stretching ribs away from hips. Breathing in. Option to just change that leg position if you want to take it that bit further. Really getting a long stretch here, but totally fine to keep the ankle down. Nice long stretch. Good, let's go to our side stretch on the other side. So we reach up and over, really nice feeling across that right side of the body. Well done, breathing in and exhaling. Good. So return to your on the walk position. This is where it's not gone as smoothly as it should have, but return to your on the walk position. Extend your left leg forward this time. We're in our L shape. The right arm comes up and we reach forward, chest forward, shoulders down, lifting and lengthening. Good. So I can get further down if I can keep my spine long. I don't want to stay back here and I'm actually retreating further away from my thigh. So I want to keep that action forward, chest forward. Then we get the hamstring stretch. Push away. We bring that back leg round for our glute stretch, if you can remember. We've got our ankle just popped onto that fleshy part of our thigh. We lift up and we lean forward, opening the chest, opening those shoulders, elbows out to the side, breathing in. Exhaling to relax. Again, keeping the length where we can, breathing in and relaxing. We move into our next glute stretch, so then we bring the hands, point them to the back of the mat to squeeze the chest open as well, opening through the top. Lovely, pressing this right knee forward. Well done. Enjoying that glute stretch, as well as that opening through our chest. Good. Lastly, we stretch our leg back out. The sole of the foot comes to the floor. We wrap the left arm round, bring the right arm back this time, lifting up and twisting through that right rib, looking behind us. Nice, growing as tall as we can. that action of lengthening will actually bring you further round. If you just try and lean back, nothing really changes in the area that we're trying to stretch. Great. Well done. So now we're going to stretch the legs out. We're going to reach the hands behind us and squeeze our shoulder blades together. Draw the abdominals in and just try and lift those arms up to open the shoulders. Remember, I said it wasn't really upper body, but actually we've done quite a lot of side stretches and twists, so maybe I was misinformed of my aim stretch sequence. Good. Okay, from here, we just open the hips if we can. Options. We can just cross one leg in front of the other. I have my right leg in front. If you're watching and you're facing me, if you have your right leg in front, it won't be a mirror. From here, that's quite tough for me on my knees. So that's quite painful for me to come forward. Not as painful as it would be if I hadn't done all of that stretching before, because obviously, yes, I feel it in my knees, but it's all about up into my hips and into my spine as well, which causes the kind of tension and what feels like a blockage in the knees. So just be conscious if you have that. So this is actually for our hips. Got a forward fold, so our spine's probably getting a bit of length as well, but this is for our hips. As you can see, as the stretch goes on now, my elbows can kind of come down. I wouldn't like to say comfortably. So that's where's best for me. For you, you might be able to bring your ankle on top and lean forward. Or even go into your full shoelace, I think it's called in yoga, where you have knee on top of knee. And then from here, I mean, I can do this, but it's not as effective for me, unless I'm in a yoga class when you hold it for 3 to 5 minutes, just this stretch. So whichever variation you want to choose, you're going to do that one. And we're going to switch it to the other side now. So again, play around with those variations. I've got the left foot in front now. That's it, it's really painful on my knees. Bring my hands forward a little. Good, so this is as far as I can come initially. I don't want to force it. And then I just sort of gently try and relax through the knees. So good. Relaxing down. Maybe the elbows will come, but it feels like I'm forcing it if I try and put the elbows down. So you be conscious of that too when you're doing your stretches. Okay, lovely. We're going to come up to a seated, comfortable position for us. So for me, that's crossing my right over / under my left. From here, I'm going to reach the arms around, grab hold of my shoulder blades at the back. I'll show you from the back. Grab hold of the shoulder blades, each of the ends there. Lift my elbows up and then round forward. And I can literally feel the shoulder blades splitting in half on my spine. So we get that nice rounded feeling from the side. We breathe in and we use the abdominals. So we're rolling forward here. If I just slump back, I don't really feel anything. So I want to hollow out through the ribs, keeping my elbows high. Good. I'm going to stretch out now, reach the arms behind, and similar to how we did it in our glute stretch, but focusing more on the chest, I'm going to lift up. So it's a high release of the upper body, opening and spreading the fingers, lifting the chest up. Let the head go if you want to. That might be too much for your neck, but you could just look straight ahead or here. You just don't want to strain the neck. Breathing in. Exhaling. Let's turn it around. Last bit, we go into those traditional cat-cows. I'm sure you've done it before, and the reason you've done it before is because it's good for your spine and we don't really focus on our spine. So spreading our fingers, shoulders over the wrists, flat backs to begin with. It's always good to have kind of a marker of where to come to. So flat back, which doesn't mean horizontal, diagonal is more likely because distance from shoulders to hips is usually greater than hips to knees. So diagonal line. Breathing in. Exhale. I'm going to start with the tuck of the pelvis. So I'm using my abdominals to tuck the pelvis. Then I can move into my ribs or my thoracic spine, tucking the head in and looking back to the abdominals. So here I really feel that my spine, each vertebra is pulled away from the one before to kind of encase my body.
Then I'm going to lengthen forward from my tailbone, from the crown of my head simultaneously. Come through the center, draw the shoulders, and instead of focusing on the back arch, I'm going to lengthen my chest forward. I'm going to keep my abdominals connected because I personally have a really bendy back, like that's a natural position for me, and that's just compressing. And whilst I want to arch the back, I want to really focus on the upper body too. So we're going to reverse that, tucking the pelvis. Now this is good. This area, like I just said, is used to making that shape. It's not used to making this shape. That's why we do it first. Then the thoracic can join in because a thoracic is really good at making this shape. So I could do this till the cows come home. Cat count, get it? But we tuck and then we push away. And it's that same splitting of our shoulder blades that we did seated. Looking back, then we get the length in the spine. Crown of the head, tailbone reach away from each other, abdominals draw in at this point. That's where they tend to want to release. And then up we come, shoulder blades drawing down the back. From here I'm going to come back to my neutral spine, tuck the toes underneath, and find a downward dog, looking back to my feet, pressing through the heels, inhaling, exhaling, walking the feet into the center of the mat, walking the hands back. Now I've got long, lengthened hamstrings. So you might well be here, which is absolutely fine. I've said that so many times today. Let the head relax as well. Spine stretch. Even though I have this flexibility, if I bend my knees, I start to feel it here, in this area. If I stretch my legs, that area has to switch on again. So I want to kind of pull away from there. Head relaxes. Well done. So that brings us to the end of our stretch, and you can slowly roll up. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to stay down here to just talk to you quickly. The rest of the videos on this page are about, they're not about anything. They're classes that we are teaching during the coronavirus. We're not an online studio at all, but we have been forced to go online like many other businesses. And I know that the times don't suit everybody, or if you particularly enjoyed your class, you might want to watch it again. But I do want you to be aware that they are live classes. They're not designed for you at home like this. I deliberately have pitched everything to the camera. I've tried to switch everything round and tried to teach it for an audience at home who will be doing it not live. So trying to get in all my corrections and all of my chat. However, when you're teaching live, you get something completely different, and so be aware of that when you're buying one of the videos, and feel free to buy one, and if it doesn't work for you, obviously you don't need to buy any more, but if it does, then great, keep checking back, because we'll keep adding new classes to the page. So I hope you enjoyed that stretch, and feel free to kind of pop it on once a week. It really does work. I've just taught for 4 or 5 hours, and already it feels much nicer around my lower body and my upper body just for giving myself 10 minutes. I think it's 10 minutes. When I actually record it, it'll probably be a lot longer. Okay, thank you very much.